Welcome everyone. Welcome to How to Get Better Paid. You ready for this? You're going to learn proven negotiation strategies that work for women. I have a lot of content that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to just give you the best, the simple, the most straightforward strategies that I know for myself and with my clients actually works and actually gets them better paid. So I want to invite you to turn off your Slack notification, put your phone on silent mode, or you know what, better yet, put it away. Sometimes I literally have a box behind me and I put it in the box so it can't distract me. And I am going to answer questions at the end, and I'm going to stay for as long as I need to answer everyone's questions. So rest assured, your questions will be answered. Okay, so what else do oh yes, this is being recorded, obviously, you can see. So if you need to go attend a meeting, or you need to go pick up your kid before the end of the training, no worries. I will make sure everyone who registered gets the recording. And one more thing that I want to share with you, I have a lot of content, really good stuff. And if you're like me and you like to take detailed notes, and you just want to be like fully present and fully focused on the content so that you can implement it, get better paid, have better negotiation outcomes, my suggestion to you, take screenshots of the screen. So you get a photo of me and you get the content on my flip chart. You don't have to copy it, right? You can just take screenshots. All right, let's get started. All right, so this is for you, especially if you are a mid-career woman who likes getting things done, woman with a strong work ethic, and you want to advance, you want to grow your career, you want to grow professionally and personally, and you want to grow your income, and you want to grow your impact. But you don't want to burn out. You don't want to add more work onto your plate because you already are getting a lot of things done. And you don't want to burn bridges in the process of getting better paid, negotiating for yourself, okay? This is for you. Now, why should you listen to me? Why should you trust this person here? My name is Jamie. Hello again. I have 10 years experience teaching negotiation skills to engineers, tech executives, HR executives, doctors, lawyers, bankers, etc. And where did I learn how to negotiate? I've learned this from my mom. I am a daughter of an immigrant. I am an immigrant. We came here 33 years ago, and I'm 40, so you can do the math. And my mom arrived in America with 3 daughters on her own, and she ended up getting a divorce here. She actually left a domestic abuse situation, and she still speaks English a lot worse than Margaret Cho's mom, still broken English, still painting nails, still nail technician, but she ended up raising the 3 of us, 3 daughters, all by herself, no support. I didn't have a rich uncle. My dad did not, provide child support. There was no alumni association. I know some of you are here from Seven Sisters School, the Seven Sister Alum Association, Smithies, Barnard, but my mom didn't have that. But even still, she ended up raising all of us, putting all of us through college. And throughout this time, she was telling me and my sisters, girls, you got to speak up. You got to ask for what you want. You got to be brave. And of course, growing up, I was a brat and I would be like, no, I just want to be liked by everyone. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Thank you. Somebody's giving me a very helpful hint that she cannot see the entire. How's that? How's that? Is that better? Yes, now you can see the entire flip chart. All right, so awesome. So if you have questions, I want to encourage you to save them to the end. As a reminder, for those of you who just joined, I'm going to stay as long as I need to answer everyone's questions at the end, okay? So where was I? Okay, my mom taught me. She said, girl, you gotta speak up. You gotta ask for what you want. She was my self-advocacy trainer that I still have. She is my lifetime trainer, but I would brush her off. I'd be like, I just want to be liked by everyone. I don't want to be the one who's making waves. I graduated from Smith College 2004. I got hired as a buyer. So it became my job to negotiate on the job. So I got on the job training, doing business negotiation with vendors. First, I was buying steel coils, copper plates, and then later paper cartons. And I really enjoyed negotiating with these vendors and putting these deals together. So I learned that, but then I switched careers. I entered a hedge fund. I entered the finance field with no background, actually. I studied East Asian studies at Smith. I studied Japanese, no math and finance background, but because of my language skills, I got an offer to join an Asia-based, Asia-focused hedge fund. And my mom had taught me to speak up. I had on the job training, business training, but when it came to negotiating for my own salary, I didn't know how. I totally bungled it because I didn't know the strategies that I am going to teach you today. And so I bungled that. And then I found out a year into this new hedge fund job, I was a junior analyst that was making 50% of the going market range. And that was the moment I realized I really gotta learn this. I gotta learn these win-win negotiation strategies. I gotta learn the communication tools. I need to have them in my belt so that I don't make the same mistake I just made. And that's when I sought out mentors. I started studying negotiation on my own. And I actually worked very closely with the founders of She Negotiates, which is the first company that existed to teach negotiation skills, salary negotiation skills, just for women. Lisa Gates, Victoria Pinchon, they mentored me directly. And then I took those skills and I started teaching and hosting live workshops, facilitating interactive workshops all over the world, Kigali, Toronto, Tokyo, New York. And I decided to take this and coach women one-on-one because I realized you can have the strategies, you can have the tactics, but unless you have the mindset with it, it doesn't always work. People don't always take the action. And so I wanted to make sure that women get to learn the women negotiation strategies, have the communication tools, and the self-confidence to get promoted and better paid without burning bridges, without burning out. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And here's what I have observed to be true in my 10 years of teaching negotiation skills all over the place. Here's the truth, okay? Thousands of women around the world have gender wage gap compounded by self-advocacy debt. Yes, the gender wage gap still persists to 2022. It is a travesty that we're earning 80 cents to the dollar and much less if you are a woman of color, especially a Black or brown woman of color. And yet it's compounded by self-advocacy debt. And what is self-advocacy debt? Self-advocacy debt is when you are under-earning your own potential, below what you want to be earning, what you can be earning, and you're overworking while under-communicating your wants and your wins. Is this you? Because this was me when I was making 50% of the going market range. I had self-advocacy debt. I didn't know how to communicate my wants and wins. So if this feels like this is you, let me know in the chat. Okay, so why do we struggle? Why do we struggle, smart, competent women, with advocating for ourselves? And so many women come to me asking, what's wrong with me? I don't know what's wrong with me. But there is nothing wrong with you. There's just a really simple explanation. And I think It's how we've been educated, how we've been socialized, and our human brain being a human brain, okay? So many smart, competent women are well educated, and in our schooling, we have absorbed this mindset of I need to prove myself, right? In school, you just follow the textbook and you get an A. You follow the syllabus, you get an A. You prove yourself with your report, you get an A, right? You didn't need to advocate for the value you bring. It's like negotiating for yourself. It was a completely foreign concept in school. And then we carry over into the working world this mindset of I need to prove myself. And it sounds so logical and it sounds so virtuous to think I need to prove myself because of how we were taught to think in school. I call this pretty poison because the smart, competent women that I've worked with, when they think, oh, I need to prove myself, 99% of the time, this thought makes them feel, I mean, I felt this way too, feel inadequate, like not quite ready, right? Not quite ready to speak up, not quite ready to ask for what you want. I haven't yet earned it. I need to prove myself, right? Pretty poison. You are already proven. You don't need to prove yourself, okay? Socialization, what have people, your parents, your friends, what is media, what is marketing that we absorb, all the time? What have they taught us about how to think about and how to talk about money? And I think for many of us, we've been taught it's kind of rude. It's kind of rude to talk about money. And if it's kind of rude to talk about money, how much ruder is it to ask for more money? And then, of course, when we think it's rude to talk about money, it feels hard. It feels difficult to negotiate for better pay. And then there's the brain. Our brain is wired for social connection. There is a primitive part of our brain that will fear social rejection, and it associates getting no. That rejection, it feels almost like death. It's like we're gonna die. We're not. We're going to be okay if you get told no. If you ask for higher pay and they say, no, we can't, you're going to be okay. But there's a part of our brain that doesn't know that. And this is why we struggle. So then how does this show up specifically for women? These are the 3 most common pitfalls that I have seen over and over again in clients, in hundreds of clients that I have helped. So first of all, because our brain is wired for social connection and we have been socialized, so many women, we've been socialized to think that we're supposed to take care of other people's feelings. How many times have you said, oh, I don't want people to feel bad, right? That's comfort fallacy. Everyone should feel okay. No one should feel bad with my actions and my words. That's comfort fallacy. Here's another way comfort fallacy shows up. When you think you should feel comfortable, and comfortable is what confidence is. So many people come to me and say, I want to feel comfortable and confident asking for what I want. But comfort never arrives because of how we've been educated, because of how we've been socialized, because of our brain. Okay, comfort never arrives. So that's why it's a fallacy. But when we're in the fallacy and we think everyone should feel okay, including myself, of course, you avoid negotiating for better pay. But then this also shows up with Tiara Syndrome. Tiara Syndrome is when you think that, just like in school, you should keep your head down, do good work, and then some benign, some very benevolent authority figure will place the tiara on your head, that they will reward you with an A, with a raise, with a promotion, right? Speaking up, asking for what I want. Oh, that's not what a good princess does, right? Tiara Syndrome is a myth. We do not live in a Disney fairy tale. We all know we got to put our own crowns on. But when we think that we should be keeping our head down and do good work, not make waves, we accommodate. We appease people. We accommodate people who ask things of us, and then we don't ask for a higher pay. We don't ask for more resources. Like, okay, I'll just keep my head down and do good work. They should know But of course, the tiara never arrives. Perfectionist fantasy, so common in smart, confident women, especially women of color, as I am. We think, hey, if it's not perfect, if it's not an A plus, it's an F. I used to be a straight A student, so I really know this. In 5th grade, I got my report card at all A's and I got 1 A minus. And I sat there at the desk and sort of beating myself up because I'm like, oh, I got 1 A minus. And then in college, I had 1 B plus. I was like, oh, B plus. That's an F, right? And we carry that mindset into our working world. And then, somebody says can't stand the B plus. B plus is amazing. B plus is amazing. See, when you can't stand the B plus, it's like, it's an F. It's not good enough, right? We attack ourselves. We beat ourselves up. So then, of course, we don't feel good enough to ask for what we want. And this tends to cycle over and over again. Avoid, accommodate, attack ourselves. Avoid, accommodate, attack ourselves. Sometimes we attack other people, right? And this results in feeling like I can't ask for what I want. I don't know how. So if you're wondering, oh, that sounds like me, maybe that's me, let me give you specific symptoms to look for so you know exactly where you are, okay? So if you're in comfort fallacy, you don't make a decision on what you want or how much more you want to make, because making decisions by nature is uncomfortable. Because of how our brains are wired, we don't like making new decisions. And we apologize. I know I said we because I've been in all of them. I have. Apologize for asking for what you want because you think, oh, they shouldn't feel bad. If I ask for something I want, they're going to feel bad, and they shouldn't. But you're not responsible for anyone's feelings except yours. And when you're in comfort fallacy, your role doesn't grow, right? Because growth, magic, is outside your comfort zone, as the saying goes. Tiara Syndrome, you look down on bragging. It's in quotation marks because often when you're in Tiara Syndrome, like you have a, okay, there you go. You have a distorted view of what bragging is. When you share your wins, when you share the facts of your accomplishment, when you give yourself acknowledgement in a public way, this is not necessarily bragging. Bragging is when you say, oh, I'm great and you're not, right? When bragging is like being arrogant at the expense of another person. But when you're just sharing your wins, when you're just sharing the good work that you do, mentioning it, that's not bragging. But when you're in Tiara Syndrome, you keep your head down. You're waiting for somebody to give you that promotion, give you that raise, and it never arrives. Perfectionist fantasy. You tend to overwork. You tend to over-deliver. You're like, oh, I did this, but I don't know if I did it exactly right. So let me just do more and more and more. Or let me spend 5 hours on a deck instead of spending 15 minutes putting it together, trusting that I know what I'm doing. Right? Perfectionist fantasy robs you of self-trust, and this is how you end up spending more time, more work on your tasks. And you don't celebrate your achievements because you're like, okay, but I gotta get another A plus to feel safe, feel good enough, right? And especially when it comes to negotiating, asking for what you want, perfectionist people tend to give up before or at the first pushback. Sometimes they don't even try, right? Because they're attacking themselves, they're beating themselves down, and sometimes they give up because they anticipate pushback, and the anticipation of the pushback triggers fear, and from that fear, you don't ask, reacting to that fear, right? So here are some things that you should know. Comfort never arrives. Ergo, if it feels awkward, if it feels uncomfortable, if the number that you want to ask for makes you want to burst out laughing or even puke, you're doing it right. If it feels awkward, you're doing it right. Tiara Syndrome. Never wait for it. Put your own crown on, okay? You When you advocate for yourself, it is the act, the very act of speaking up and asking for what you want is putting your crown on, okay? Perfectionist fantasy. Don't expect perfection. There is no perfection in negotiation. It's a conversation. It flows, okay? And the first thing that you want to do is start taking action, small steps that you can implement today, right away, to break out of this all or nothing thinking. And that the steps I'm going to walk you through today. And let's also notice that this is a myth, it's a fallacy, this is a myth, it's a Disney fairy tale, that's a myth, that's a lie. This is a fantasy, myth, myth, myth. And today you're here for the truth. And this is the most important truth that you're gonna learn. So pay attention. Truth bomb. Your salary, what you get paid, is just a slice. It's just a fraction of the total value of your contributions. This is the truth that they never taught us in school. This is the truth that HR never talks about. They don't teach this in our workplace either. What you get paid is a fraction of the total value of your contributions. In other words, what you get paid is not what you are worth. Somebody asked me, how do I get paid what I'm worth? You're not going to get paid what you're worth because it's not about you. It's about the value of your contributions. And value, what is value? Value is not time or effort. Okay. Can I ask for a raise if I'm working part-time? Of course you can. It's not about time or effort. Value is the usefulness of your contributions. Value is how useful, how beneficial is your contribution in the context of what your employer, your client, your customer wants to achieve. Okay, so you don't have to work more. You don't have to work any harder to get better paid. In fact, you do not get better paid for working hard. You do not get better paid for working long hours. The truth is, you've already been paid for what you've done. You get paid better. You get paid better when the employer have a clear understanding of the value of your future contributions, right? Getting better paid is about the future value of your contributions. Ergo, you want to grow this pie. That is the task of a salary negotiation. That is the mission. So you start with the whole pie. You don't start with the slice, okay? You don't start with, I'm getting paid X amount for doing X, Y, and Z, right? That is like transactional, fixed pie mindset, like win-lose negotiation mindset. No, you start with the whole pie, with the value of your contributions, and therefore you start way ahead of the money talk. Chris Voss, a negotiation expert who used to train FBI hostage negotiators, says that the most dangerous negotiation is the one you don't even realize you're in. Negotiation process for getting better paid starts before the money talks. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to have a better understanding of your value and how to start way ahead of the money talks today. Here are the simple steps. Number one, you take stock. You take stock of your contributions. You take stock of facts. You prepare, because you always fall to the highest level of your preparation. Number two, you make decisions ahead of time. So important, because negotiation is simply a conversation to arrive at a mutual decision, and the person who is most decided wins. So you want to come prepared, you taken stock, you want to come have made decisions ahead of time. And of course, you got to have conversations, but you got to have many types of conversations early and often. People think that salary negotiation is just one conversation, one-off thing. No, it is a process. And you want to anchor. You want to tell them what you want. And when you encounter pushback, you get curious, not furious. I'm going to dive into each of these steps, okay? Number one, take stock of your contributions. Now, smart, competent women, we love to get things done, which means that we over focus on the immediacy, what got done. And now we love to jump ahead to like, what else needs to get done? What hasn't yet gotten done, right? So we gotta slow our roll. We gotta take a pause, a strategic pause, make a list. I just coached a client who is negotiating for her raise and promotion, and her homework, make a list of her contributions. Make a list of your accomplishments, your wins. What are you accomplishing? Okay. And the reason for this, I'm just going to take a step back here. The reason for why we take stock of your contributions is that when we're in comfort fallacy, Tiara Syndrome, perfectionist fantasy, you are in effect biased against your own value. You don't have an objective perspective on the value you bring. You don't see the whole pie. Like, this is the whole pie, right? And you don't see it. So you gotta develop value focus, right? This is the solution to overcoming the pitfalls. You gotta develop your value focus, and that starts with first asking yourself, what am I accomplishing? How am I contributing? Make a list. You can start this today, okay? But this is just the tiny dot in this whole pie. So you gotta grow this perspective, how you see your value. So then how do you grow? We want to get to beyond value, the beyond benefit of your contributions. And how do we get there? Ask yourself, what becomes possible now? Now that I have accomplished these things, you have a list, right? And what becomes possible now for them, for my employer, for my stakeholders, for customers, for clients? What becomes possible now? But that also only gives you a partial view of your total value. So again, we want to expand the pie. You have to see your total value. And so then we go to future value. What else becomes possible in the future because of what I've accomplished? And how do I want to grow my value? Let me give you a very specific example. Software engineers, immediate accomplishment. I fixed the bug. It's done, got done. There will always be more things to do. There will always be more bugs. Okay, got done. Great. This is a win. But now we want to understand the beyond benefit. What becomes possible now that the bug is fixed? Now that the bug is fixed, product can launch on time. Clients can be happy with on-time launch with product with no bugs, right? Now we have on-time launch, happy products. Great. This is valuable. This is very valuable to the employer. That's what they want to know. That's what they want to hear, okay? But we want to grow your pie. So what else becomes possible now? Okay, product launch, happy customers. What else becomes possible? Our team grows its credibility and our reliability for getting things done and doing it well. What else becomes possible? Now we can attract even better talent into our team, even better engineering talent, okay? And how do I want to grow? Do I want to be fixing more bugs, or do I want to be a senior engineer, engineering manager? Do I want to be staff engineer and either architect more products or be part of strategic thinking? How do I want to grow, right? So you got to take stock of your contributions this way and grow how you see your own value, because it's way bigger than just getting things done. So important, okay? So once you have value focus, you want to know, how does this play out in a negotiation? So thing that you want to understand, what are their goals and priorities? What is the value I'm bringing and what is the value I will bring, right? This encompasses both immediate, beyond, and then future value. And then what is the growth that you want? So before I address this, let's also take note, you also want to take stock of what do they want? What are their goals and priorities? What are possible pay ranges and policies? What are non-cash compensation in addition to the salary, right? You want to take stock all of that. This is a homework that you want to do ahead of negotiating your salary. But inside the context of salary negotiation, here's how this plays out. You want to see this overlap, the sweet spot, and you want to make sure you address each of these three things. So you say, I understand your goals and priorities are X, Y, and Z. I've done my homework. I understand. And I'm confident I will add value with my skill set, my background, and here's how I will add value. Here are some suggested solutions, okay? I would like to be compensated according to the value I bring. Ergo, I'm asking for X, okay? So we'll revisit this, but that's how you ask for better pay and get it without overworking. But let's take note, you gotta make some decisions ahead of time, right? And some of these decisions you want to make sure you make before, during, after, throughout the negotiation process, which is that you are enough. Remember, the salary is not a reflection of your self-worth. It is not a reflection of personal worth. You yourself, your worth is separate. Your self-worth is separate and it is sacrosanct. I'm a spiritual person. I believe that your worth is divine, is sacrosanct, sacred, cannot be negotiated, okay? You are enough whether you ask for better pay, whether you don't or you do, whether they push back, whether you get it or not, you are enough. You've done enough. You've done enough. Perfectionist fantasy, Tiara Syndrome, comfort fallacy, they'll tempt you into thinking, I haven't done enough. I don't know enough. I don't have enough to ask. But the most important decision that you're going to make for yourself is that you're enough. I have done enough to know that my contributions are valuable as is, even if you don't have a job right now, or even if you are switching jobs. You can choose, you can decide for yourself to believe that your future contributions will be valuable. And these are the most important decisions that you will make that will lead to self-confidence, that will help you stay strong in the negotiation process. Because not every negotiation process is going to be easy. You will encounter surprises. You will encounter pushback. The stronger you are in these decisions, the stronger you are throughout the process, the better you signal your confidence, your leadership, and better you will achieve the results you want. Decisions unlock power. And so you want to decide, who do I want to become? How do I want to grow? How do I want to show up? How much more money do I want to make? It is safe for you to make a decision about how much more money you make. It's safe. Even if you don't get it, making that decision will be a pivotal growth for your career, because once you make that decision, you make that your North Star and you work towards it, okay? And this is a concept that really helped me understand the power of making a decision of how much more I want to make, and the power of making a decision to engage, to initiate, to ask for what I want. It's called locus of control, not the bug. It's LOCUS. Where is the control located? Like this circle, this time is, I want you to think about it as the context of your life. In your life, where is control? Is the locus of control internal? Do you have it? Are you telling yourself, I'm in control of my career, right? And when you do that, that is what activates the leadership, your willingness to initiate the conversation and ask for what you want. This is what unlocks your self-confidence to take that risk. And this is what creates courage to do it, even when it feels totally awkward and uncomfortable. And I've been in this situation. I hope you can see, it says, I don't have control, when the locus of control feels to be external. right? It's a perception that you're not in control. When you're in comfort fallacy, when you need everyone else to feel comfortable, you're not in control. When you think that somebody else should be rewarding you and that you shouldn't even have to ask, you're not in control. When you're in perfectionist fantasy, you're placing that standard of excellence to be outside of you. You're not the one who decides that I've done enough, I'm good enough. So then locus of control exists outside of you. You don't have control. You feel powerless. You feel not great. You don't feel confident. You don't have the courage to negotiate. And therefore, decide you're in control. This was the decision that changed everything for me, that helped me to start asking for what I want after that hedge fund experience. Me just deciding I'm in control of my career. I'm going to start asking. And once I start asking, I start making more. And so will you. Okay, so next up, conversations. Negotiation is, again, not just some one-off conversation you have. It is a series of conversations, especially for those of you who want to get promoted, better paid. You want to become more a better leader. You want to create leadership, and you want to grow, right? You got to have conversations early and often. And if you've never negotiated for yourself, even though you're really good at what you do, I encourage you to build on steps 1 and 2. In other words, take stock of your contributions, make decisions about how you want to grow, and then start seeding the idea that you want to grow, that you want to get promoted early and often. If you've never negotiated before, start sharing your wins, your accomplishments. They're just facts. When you share facts, it is not bragging. Early and often, at least 3 to 6 months ahead of the performance evaluation cycle, the raise cycle. Some companies have them. If you know that, you gotta front run this, because by the time the evaluation comes around, decisions have already been made. So you want to be able to influence the decision ahead of time. Communicate wins and wants. That is how you pay down your self-advocacy debt, by accruing self-advocacy wins. And you want to leverage interdependence, because, let me just take a sip and I'll be right back. Interdependence, because everyone's jobs, our careers are interdependent on each other, on your boss, your colleague, stakeholder, your skip level boss, your coworker. Like, there's interdependence here. Okay, leverage that, use that to your advantage. And here's why. If you want to ask for better pay, usually that decision gets made behind closed doors, among people who are making decisions. Maybe it's one, but usually it's more than one person. And you want to be able to influence their decision-making ahead of time, right? Ahead. And that's why you have conversations early and often. You start talking with your stakeholders, your mentor, your colleague, or maybe your skip level boss, people who are decision makers and people who influence those decision makers. You know some of them, and like some of them, and trust some of them. Start with them, start seeding the idea. I like to get promoted. I'm invested in growing here. And here are some of my wins, right? And here's how I'd like to grow. What are your thoughts about that? What do you suggest, right? And so you plant the idea, you have that conversation early and often. It's going to be very awkward. You're going to be doing it right when it feels awkward, because you want to have at least 51% of the people who make that decision behind closed doors. You want 51% already familiar with you, already familiar with the idea that you are bringing value and that you want to grow. They don't promote you, they don't give you more pay if they don't know that you want to grow. So you got to have conversations early and often. But you do this well, there will come a time you just got to tell them how much more you want to make. Right? Or sometimes you are in a job offer negotiation, or a recruiter reaches out to you and they ask you, what is your target salary? I suggest, I've been taught by the best, and the best have taught me, you gotta anchor first and anchor high. This means tell them what you want, but because you have taken stock of your contributions, you have developed value focus, you have a better understanding of your value, and you have decided on your target, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go step or two above that. If you wanna make $200,000, ask for 250. If you wanna make 300, ask for 350, okay? And you're gonna do this as part of framing for value, as a result of having framed for the value you bring, okay? And when you do this, not only do you tip the negotiation in your favor, because the first reasonably ambitious number that enters the conversation will always tip towards that number, right? It's leveraging cognitive bias to your favor. And at the same time, if it's too high, or they're like, oh, wow, okay, that's kind of beyond our budget, you have wiggle room. You have space between your target and your anchor, but you start with your anchor. Oh, and I forgot to say this. Don't give a range, right? Don't give a range unless you are okay with that bottom number. If you really want to make $200,000, don't tell them I'm okay with somewhere between 180 and 220. No, they'll give you 180. If you want to make 200, you tell them I like somewhere around 250. Okay, anchor high to create wiggle room, even though you know you're going to be okay with 200. Now there is room, right? Because usually the only way you go in a negotiation is down. And if this feels uncomfortable, as it would, you practice it out loud, say it out loud. I am a professional who makes $250,000. I am director of marketing earning $300,000. Say it out loud, teach your brain, retrain your brain, okay? And if for whatever reason they have anchored first, they told you, it's okay to break their anchor, it's okay. Again, it's about how do you frame for the value. And I just want to remind you, again, you tell them, I understand this is what you want to achieve, but based on the value that I'm bringing that will help you achieve those results, I'd like to ask for 250 or 300. Right? Anchor high by framing for your value. Okay. And then you're wondering, well, what if they say no? It's okay. Pat yourself on the back. If they say no, that's how you know you went for it. You went for the highest amount possible, right? That you're not leaving any money on the table. And this is concrete proof that you are building your self-advocacy muscle. You've taken action. You've internalized that locus of control. This is a win, whether they say no, whether they say yes, whether they say maybe. If you've asked, this is a win. And if they say no, this isn't about you. Our brain will tempt us into thinking, oh, I've been rejected. Oh, they don't like us. No, remember, this isn't about you. This is not personal. This is an opportunity. I drew the 3 Venn diagram circles here, but remember, this is their goals, the value you bring, what you want. This is an opportunity to just get really curious and clear. So maybe there's something here that we don't yet understand really well. So this is an opportunity to get gracefully assertive, not making this about you, but stay grounded in your value and get curious, not furious. What you do, really simple, ask a W question. Ask, what about this doesn't work for you? Or what might you need to see from me to make this work? Or how can we work together so that we can work together? And who else might need to be part of this conversation so we can move this further along, right? Open. In other words, don't assume that it's a failure. Don't assume that it's about you. Just get curious about what here, right? Their goals, their priorities, your value, what about here isn't, you haven't quite gotten clarity around, because that is usually the problem. So you just form a W with your mouth and ask an open-ended diagnostic question. The power of this is that usually when women negotiate their salary, they feel like it's almost like an interrogation, like an indictment on the value of themselves, their self-worth, their value. But it's not, right? It's not about you. You can turn this around by asking an open-ended diagnostic question so that now you are, instead of being a face-off in this, under this harsh halogen lamp, now you are side by side. We're just trying to problem solve this together. We're trying to work together. Remember, we're trying to achieve this sweet spot of you adding value to help them achieve their goals and priorities. So we're just trying to problem solve together side by side. So that asking open-ended diagnostic questions will turn pushback into an opportunity for collaborative problem solving, okay? So to recap, and I have clients who have gotten no. I have clients who have gotten no on their raise and promotion. I have clients who were turned down on their job offers. And instead of giving up, instead of making it personal, they stayed gracefully assertive. They asked a curious question. They turned it around. They got hired. They got better pay. They got promoted ahead of time, ahead of schedule, 6 months ahead of schedule. It is possible. You can do it too. So to recap, the 5 steps, why do they work? When you take stock of your contributions and when you develop value focus, you're able to articulate your value in a compelling way to the other side so that it's a no-brainer that you deserve more money, right? And when you make decisions ahead of time, let's notice making decisions is what leaders do. So not only does it activate your leadership and you can initiate, engage, and influence in that conversation, but it also unlocks confidence and power. When you communicate early and often, when you have conversations, you build bridges. And let's notice when you build bridges, when you build relationships with your interdependent network of people, your perceived value goes up. Because the more you become a known entity, the more valuable you are seen, and more valuable you are seen, the more value you bring. Okay, because a lot of value is in the eye of the beholder. So you want to make sure you are seen and heard about the wins that you are achieving all the time. Anchor first and anchor high, close your wage gap. It's okay if you don't know what they're going to say. If you are clear on your value, you are clear on what you want, you get to go first. And you increase the odds that you get what you want and you get more than your target. When you're curious, not furious, you get past no, you get to engage in creative problem solving, and you build your experience, your skill in maneuvering through conflict, through disagreement, right? You approach it as a problem solving exercise. And you build your muscle for getting through to people, getting past no. But there's more, right? Beyond benefits. Those are just like the immediate benefits. You work on these skills, you build these skills, and you gain a skill that you use for life, in your business, in your career, in your leadership. And imagine the impact of this. Imagine you growing your confidence and asking for what you want in all aspects of your career and life, whether that is negotiating your salary, whether that is celebrating your wins on a public Slack channel, whether that is asking for a better table at the restaurant that you love to go to, okay? And when you make those decisions ahead of time, you get clear on your priorities, on your vision. And what that leads to is you get to set boundaries, right? When you learn to ask for what you want, you also get to learn to say no to what you don't want. And therefore, you gain more of your time back because you just focus on what's important, what delivers value. And this helps you build reputation because you're also engaging in the strategic conversations early and often. You get known as somebody who brings value focus, somebody who is to be respected for the value she brings. And of course, you get better paid. This is how my clients get better paid and promoted way ahead of schedule. And as I mentioned, the median number that my clients get in terms of like increase in salary is about $20,000. And so I did the math. If you're in the middle of your career, let's say you're like in your mid 30s and you continue to work for another 20, 30 years, that incremental raise will compound to $2 million, two additional $1 million over your lifetime. So that is the training, and this is why these skills are so important. For those of you who want to become a more confident professional, for those of you who want to become a more confident manager, leader, executive, you know that growing these skills, right? Getting better paid is just one byproduct of becoming a more skilled negotiator, right? And the best time to get started is today. The best time to get started building these skills is today, because it's just like muscle. It's like growing a muscle. You don't get to buff beautiful Madonna arms overnight. If you try to just lift a whole bunch of weight, like a ton of weights to get to Madonna arms, you hurt yourself. It's the same thing in negotiation. If you don't build the muscle intentionally over time with practice, right? You hurt yourself, because there is no faking it in negotiation. And so if you are somebody who wants to get promoted and better paid, and you want to have expert guidance in your corner so that you can reap all of these beyond benefits, get better paid, and grow your confidence at the same time, I have developed my one-on-one coaching program for you. I have developed a coaching program that is for 6 months, weekly sessions to help you develop the mindset of strength. You internalize that locus of control. You see yourself in control, responsible, you are enough, your work is valuable, and you bring that value focus to every conversations that you have. You bring that strategic mindset of problem solving to every problem, every difficult situation, every difficult person that you encounter, so that it is inevitable that you get better paid and promoted in your career while feeling great, while becoming even better advocate for yourself in all other areas of your life. I have clients who take these skills and they bring it to their home life, they bring it to their dating life, they bring it to everything else that they do, so that they have a better quality of life and a better career. So if that's you, if that's what you want, I invite you to book a complimentary consultation. The consultation is not a coaching session, but a consultation is an opportunity for you to speak with me one-on-one. And what we do is we custom fit this proven process to your specific situation, your specific needs, so that you know exactly how you can achieve your career goals, right? I'm going to help you build your negotiation muscle today, so that as a result of it, you become a more confident self-advocate. You become a more confident leader and manager and executive. And if you signed up, I guess like before this morning, check your inbox. I have already sent you this link directly to you. But if not, just go to calendly.com/JamieLee/consult. And you can go there, look for a time that works for you. And I just have a few questions there to make sure that we're a good fit. And then, and then we can have a chat. And if you don't see a time that works for you, you can email me directly. You can email, you have my email from the Zoom registration, and I will make sure you get on my calendar. Okay, so the consultation is for you to see, for you and me to see that we're a great fit for our coaching, for the coaching program. Okay, so if you have any questions, I am going to check I know some people have entered things into the chat box. Some people have entered things into the Q&A box. And I'm going to make sure everyone gets their questions answered. Okay, I'm going to first go through the chat and see if there are any questions here. Okay, so Nikki is asking, there's self-advocacy debt, but I feel like women are not allowed to self-advocate. Okay, who made up these rules that women are not allowed to self-advocate? Okay, that's socialization. And I just want to offer you, Nikki, that advocating for yourself using the strategies, I'm just gonna quickly go back here. Right? If you use these strategies, use these steps to advocate for your value, it's not about me. It's about how can I add more value to you, to the organization, to my employer, right? It's not about me. It's about how do I bring more value and get compensated better as a result of that, right? Because you get compensated in a way that's according or commensurate with the value you bring. So think about it this way. Your self-advocacy is an act of service because your boss gets to better understand how you are adding value. Your boss gets to better understand how bigger value you can bring. Will your boss not like you? Maybe. That is his problem. That is his personal problem, okay? But remember, this isn't about you. This isn't about you being liked. This is about you being respected for the value you bring. So my suggestion to you, Nikki, is put aside the fear of being unliked. We're always going to be afraid of that, right? Our brains are always going to be, looking for ways to avoid social rejection. But if we do that, we place our locus of control outside of ourselves. We don't advocate for what we want. We don't advocate for the value. Our bosses don't understand the value we're bringing and the bigger value we can bring. So focus on how can I make this about the value and frame for that. Okay, Susie, says, good talk. Thank you. Yes, Priyanka, that's right. Decide that you are in control. Kind of take a sip. Again, if you struggle with this and you are somebody, you're in the middle of a career, you really want to advance your career in a way that feels good, that feels authentic to you. You want to grow your career with confidence, right? You want to internalize the locus of control. You want to take back control. I want to help you, okay? So again, you want to have a better idea of how you can custom fit that process to your specific situation. Come to Calendly.com//JamieLee/consult or check your inbox. I sent you an invitation to book your consult today. Okay, you're welcome, Emily. She says, thank you so much. Great reminder that I am never going to be comfortable asking for more. That's right. It's okay. Comfort is a fallacy. If it feels awkward, you're doing it right. Sarah, you're welcome. She says, great talk today. Okay. Let me read this comment. Okay. Sylvia asked a great question. She asked, in an attempt to talk about it early and often, she wants to, communicate her wins and wants early and often. She scheduled regular check-ins, but they get canceled last minute. What should she do? She's unhappy with that. Here's a suggestion. Send them an email. Send them a regular email with 3 or 5 bullet points of your key accomplishments or what you want them to know. And drop the need, drop the attachment that they should respond They should be happy with it. They should tell you you're doing a good job. Just send it. Just send the email and just send it on a regular basis. And particularly if you've gotten specific feedback that you need to address a certain aspect or work on a certain skill, like tell them about how you are addressing exactly that feedback in those 3 to 5 bullet points. Send it every week and just keep sending it. I know it's awkward. Keep doing it, okay? And you will find out later that they read it and they appreciate it, right? You've raised their awareness around how you are adding value. So if they cancel meetings with you last minute, send them an email, 3 to 5 bullet points. They don't need to respond, but just trust and believe they're going to see it, and they're going to be more aware of the value you bring. And the beautiful thing about this is that if you do this consistently, now you have a paper trail, right? And by the time you go to have that evaluation, you could just show them. You could like compile all the bullet points. Here are all the ways I have accomplished. I have addressed the specific feedback you've given me. Yeah. So yes, great question. And again, if you want more advice like this, or you want strategies that work for you, you want to be able to implement them to change the trajectory of your career from now until for the rest of your career, let's chat. I invite you to consult with me today, calendly.com/JamieLee/consult. It's free. Okay. Okay, you're welcome, Susie. You're welcome, Doris. You're welcome to Natalie. They say this is great presentation. Hasna, you're welcome. She says thank you, amazing presentation. Okay, Hiba asks, would you say on average asking for increase of offer salary by 10 to 15 is realistic in the nonprofit world? I don't know. I don't know. I have coached clients who work in the nonprofit world. They also get promoted and better paid. One of my best clients consistently asked for a raise every year. She worked for one of the largest nonprofits and she got them. So I think a lot of people have a misconception, especially people who work in it, that like somehow because you work in a nonprofit that it's not kosher for you to want to make more money. But then you are surprised, you are shocked when you find out what high-performing executives are actually making, because they're making a lot of money. Nonprofit executives make 6 figures, $200,000 and more. So what I have heard from recruiters, people that I know and trust, is that when there's an offer, when you change jobs, you want to ask for a minimum of 20% more than what you were making. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. I hope that helps. Wenbo, do you have any suggestions for dealing with ineffective managers who are unable to advocate for you? How do you speak to skilled managers or influential people without making it feel awkward or self-serving? So Wenbo, welcome to the presentation. If it feels awkward, you're doing it right. Here's how you do this, okay? Sometimes your manager, your direct manager, doesn't know exactly what you do. I coach a lot of clients who tell me that, and that's okay. That's okay, because they don't have to know exactly what you do. They just have to have an idea. They just have to understand the value. Remember, like it's the value. It's beyond the immediacy. It's beyond the task, right? And you have to ask yourself, what becomes possible now? What becomes possible now? What else becomes possible because I've done this thing? Ask it over and over again. So yeah, go ahead and talk to your skip managers. You are adding value. Your contributions matter. Talk to them. Ask them about their goals and priorities and help address their concerns. Offer them value in conversations with skip manager and other influential people. It's gonna feel awkward. It's gonna be all right. If it feels awkward, you're doing it right. Are you self-serving? Yes, why not? Why not? If you're self-advocating for yourself, you serve yourself. Yes, you do. But guess what? If you implement the strategy and the principle that I've shared with you, if you do that, this self-advocacy is an act of service, because now your skip level manager, influential people, they have a better understanding of the value and the future value. And everyone wants to better understand this because it makes them look good. It makes them able to articulate their value even better. And when my clients do this, and yes, my clients do speak to skip managers, do talk to influential people if their direct managers are not, advocating for them. And you know what? In the end, they get thanked. They're like, the senior leaders are saying, thank you for doing that, okay? Self-advocacy is an act of service, even when it feels awkward, even when you serve yourself. You got to serve yourself first, because that is the act of putting your crown on. Okay, Paula, I'm just going to read this. I'm going to take a sip. This is going great. And I'm going to make sure everyone's questions get answered. Okay. Hello, I have graduated in December, started working in January. First job. Congratulations. How long should I wait before asking for a raise and promotion, given that I still have much to learn on the job? Would be 9 months be okay, considering also that my contract is due in December this year? Should I start earlier to talk about the next step? Paula, I'm gonna revisit the steps, okay? Do this. I would suggest if you just got started working, over-index on taking stock, right? Taking stock of your contributions, over-index on asking yourself, okay, what else becomes possible now? Or why is what I'm doing so valuable to my employer, even though I just graduated like 9 months ago or a year ago, okay? And direct answer to your question, I'd say you can ask for a promotion, you can ask for a raise once a year. Yes. High performers do this, you can do this, okay? And you should start talking. You should start having conversations about the value you're bringing now. I would suggest you start asking them, would you agree that I am bringing value? And if not, what would you like me to improve? Or what new skills would you like me to develop, right? And if you ask that question, would you agree that I'm adding value? What else would you need to see from me? This signals your willingness to grow. This tells your employer that you're somebody who's committed, somebody who's serious, somebody who is ambitious, somebody they would, ideally want to promote, okay? Angela, you're welcome. She says, this was inspiring. I'm so glad. And if you want to take this further, I invite you to book a consultation with me, okay? Siyumi, you're welcome. She says it was a great talk. Jennifer says this was really wonderful. Thank you for offering this. I am most grateful and privileged. I feel honored that I was able to share this with you. Yes, she wants to continue learning with and from you. Book a chat. It's a consultation. We're gonna ensure that coaching with me would be a slam dunk fit. We're gonna custom fit the strategy to your specific situation so that you get promoted, you get better paid. Okay, Nikki says, incredibly helpful and inspiring. I'm so glad. Sylvia, you're welcome. She loves the paper trail idea. Okay, Nicole says, regarding anchor first and anchor high, this is opposite of what I always read. Yeah, there are a lot of people who tell you to wait. Yeah, some is that you should never be the first to reveal your number. What is your, my opinion is that, listen, there are circumstances, there are times when you may not know how to like really evaluate fair salary or like market range salary, right? You're in a completely new field, no idea, right? Then you might want to ask them, hey, if you were in my position, what would you ask for, right? In fact, I'm so glad you brought this up. Maybe this is slightly tangential, but somebody, I'm looking for the question. Okay. my suggestion is when you have conversations with stakeholders, people that you know and trust, ask them, like, what do you think is a reasonable number to ask for in a position like this? What do you think is a reasonable number to ask for in a role like this with my level of experience, right? And so in that way, if you really don't know what to anchor with, you can gather data this way. And I really like taking both online research and those like face-to-face, real people telling you their ideas, because when real people tell you what could be possible for you, that it just sinks in deeper as a tangible reality. For me, when I was making $80,000 as an operations director, when I asked mentors, people I know and trust, what do you think would be a reasonable number to ask? And a male mentor told me, you can make $20,000 more. It's like, what? Like, yeah, you could just ask for it. I'm like, okay. So I did, and then I got it. Okay, but back to Nicole's question. My opinion is that when you do your homework, when you make decisions for yourself, I think you are better positioned. You come from a position of strength when you anchor first. So I advise my clients to just decide ahead of time and then tell the recruiter what they want to make. So this happened literally this week. I had one client who, in a coaching session with me, she decided, I want to make $200,000. That is my desired salary. And then this universe works in a very strange way. In two weeks, a recruiter reached out, and the recruiter was like, what would you like to make? What's your desired salary? And so my client said 200, and the recruiter said, great, we can do that, right? So anchor first, anchor high. That's my opinion. You get what you want. I love it when you get what you want. You're welcome, Tesla. She says, thanks for a great presentation. Jenny, no, you have 6 weeks. It's not too late. It's not too late. It's never too late, never too early. She asked, I have a performance review in 6 weeks. Am I too late to start negotiations for a substantial raise? No, I just would suggest you adjust your expectation of when that raise may come into reality. Because if you have a performance review in 6 weeks, I would start now, in terms of this process, right? But I would just adjust your expectation of when you get that raise, because depending on the size and the structure of your organization, getting that raise may take either less or longer time, right? If you work for a big company, if you work for like a consulting company, they have very tight and structured pay bands, and they're like very structured as to when those raises get implemented. So that's my short answer to you. You're most welcome. Wenbo, do you help with job interview negotiation? Yeah, of course I do. It's part of the process of you improving your career. It's part of the process of you becoming more confident, of you improving your self-advocacy skills. Absolutely. Paula, yes, she's gonna start doing this tomorrow. Yes, I love it. I love it when women take charge of their careers and take action to get bolder, braver, and better paid. So Paula, I celebrate you. You're most welcome, Hiba. Okay. Rebecca, what is the #1 tip you could give women trying to take that first step to gain more confidence? Here's my #1 tip. Take stock. Take stock of your contributions. Start today. When we don't feel confident, we are biased against our value. We are discounting our value because we are believing the lies of perfectionist fantasy, Tiara Syndrome, comfort fallacy. We're telling ourselves, I need to prove myself, I haven't done enough. So those are lies that our brain tells us to keep us from social rejection, but social rejection cannot hurt us, they cannot kill us. So again, take stock of your contributions, make a list, and celebrate, acknowledge yourself right? For the accomplishments that you're bringing, and decide that you are enough, decide that you are valuable, okay? You're most welcome, Nicole. She says, thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the Q&A box because we have lots of questions. Okay, so again, if you need to go, I understand. Everyone's gonna get the recording, and again, if you want to learn how to apply this strategy, how to build self-confidence from the inside out, how to become a better manager, leader, executive, get bolder and better paid, I have an executive coaching program for you. Let's find out if you are a fit. Book this consultation. It is free. Jennifer says, I'm loving all of this. Yay! I'm so glad it is resonating. She is currently in a job search, really struggled with the compensation conversation. Can you please talk about how these ideas apply to job interview process when you don't have months and an established relationship with an employer already? Excellent question. I love this question. So I want you to know that okay, so in a job offer negotiation, when you start interviewing, this is when you start painting the picture for the value you can offer. So, and people do this. Like if you've prepared for your job interview, you've prepared your responses, your answers, so that you're painting a vision of somebody who is capable, competent, who is a great fit for their needs, right? In other words, that is value, that is valuable to them, okay? And so when you think about the whole interview process, like talking with all these different people, that is communicating, that is to have conversations, that is the building bridges and increasing your perceived value. That is that part, the interview process, okay? So I see it as like in the interview process, before you interview, you take stock of all your past accomplishments, right? And then you think about, okay, if I'm capable of this, I can capable of adding value elsewhere. And you build belief in your potential, right? That is a key step. You do that and you decide, like, this is a role I want. You decide this is how much I want to make, right? And then you engage in the interview process and you build and you paint the vision of how you can help them achieve their goals. You're doing that as a natural part of the interview process. And then when they ask you what you want to make, you tell them with confidence. Because I am confident in the value I am bringing, I am asking for X, whether that's 150 or 250, right? My suggestion is don't give them a range, give them a number, okay? And anchor high, go step or two above your target number. What kind of leverage does a recent grad have for entry-level offer? A lot of leverage. You have so much leverage. If you're a recent grad, did you know that companies spend up to like 3 to 5 times of your salary just to recruit you? You're so valuable. We want recent grads because you have youth, you have fresh perspective, you have energy, you're really good with social media if you're really into that, right? Like that is leverage, that is power. Yeah. So build confidence in yourself. Like you have value to offer. Employers want you. They spend money to recruit you, right? And even if you're not a recent grad, just know that your role is valuable. How do we know this? Companies spend at minimum 150% of your current salary just to replace you, and then even more to train and develop the new hire. You're so much valuable than the salary you make. Anonymous. How would you negotiate your salary when transitioning into a new field where you only have transferable experience? So good question. This is the question that I wish I had answered for myself 12 years ago when I transitioned to working at a hedge fund. Before that, I was working in procurement, right? So no financial background. So my suggestion is take stock of your transferable skills, right? But also have strategic conversations. Have strategic conversations with people who are familiar with this new field. I know some of you came from the Seven Sister Alumni Network. So this is the thing that I wish I had done before taking that job with the hedge fund. I wish I had reached out to the alumni network and say, hey, I'm going into finance. I have zero background, zero knowledge. Can we have a chat? And I wish I had known to get curious ahead of time. I wish I had like compiled a list of questions of like, what is a standard entry-level salary for a hedge fund analyst? You know, what do you think I should expect in terms of compensation? What do you think are the expectations and the job description of a role like this, right? I wish I had done that. So that is my advice. Before you negotiate your salary, before you transition into a new field, have conversations. You got to network. You got to network. You got to have conversations with people who are familiar with this field and ask them questions. Be curious, be willing to learn. What are, comp ranges? What can I expect? You know, what would you ask for if you were in my position, right? Ask them, what do you think would be a reasonable ask? Great question. Okay. All right. Deborah asked, how does this process apply to government work, where it is usually stated that there is a budget limit for a person? Can you probe and question that limit? Of course you can. I personally do not have direct experience working in government. Most of my clients do not work in government, so I'm not gonna, what's the right word here? I don't know, but I can also say all of this applies to every industry. What you do want to take stock, you do want to decide, you do want to have conversations, even in government work, like where you fit. Like my guess is that in government, like there are very specific pay bands, there are very specific roles in the job description, right? But where you fit, like which pay band, which role, which title you fall into will be a function of how well you bring value focus, how well you articulate the value you offer in a compelling way, how well you articulate your potential to help solve or address government needs, right, at a higher level. Okay, Patricia, excellent question. Okay, Patricia asked, comfort fallacy question. Patricia, I think the answer to your question is sort of in your question, because she asked, if you anchor too high on the salary, how do you avoid offending your employer or potential employer? So, excellent question. And again, I just want to revisit this idea. First of all, before I do that, first of all, offending your employer is a thought that you have about anchoring that makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay, we don't know how or whether your employer will be offended. Having said that, of course, if you do some research and you find out that this particular role, the average salary is $150,000, okay? And if you ask for $450,000, they'll just think you're crazy. They'll just be like, she's not a fit because she doesn't understand that this role on average goes for 150. Like she could have Googled that. Okay, so I don't think you have to worry about offending them. I think you just want to be sure to like have done your homework, have done your online research, have asked people in the know in that field, like what would be a reasonable pay range, right? So you have a sense, you're familiar, and make sure you anchor on the high end of that range. But so what if they're offended? if they're offended by you anchoring for, for the value you bring. Okay, this is where I wanted to draw the circles again. Okay, that's kind of messy, but remember, in your salary negotiation, you want to talk about their goals, right? Their priorities. And the value you bring is in context of what they want to achieve, right? This is the value you bring, right? And also your ask when you anchor, that is in context of what they want to achieve and what you offer, the value you offer. So if you do this well, and if they're offended, then something has gone right here. It's like either you didn't really understand their goals, or you didn't really articulate the value well. Because when you are addressing their goals, that is highly valuable to them, they shouldn't be offended. They wouldn't be offended. They'd be like, of course, you're going to help us achieve our goals. You're going to help us beat the competition. You're going to help us become the premier organization in this industry. Of course, we want to pay you because we want the value of what you offer, right? The anchor, this number is just always going to be a fraction of the total value you offer. Okay, Nicole, I already answered your question. Anonymous, I already answered your question, so I'm really glad. Okay, thank you, those of you who are still sticking around. I understand that asking about why your salary was not accepted when asking for a promotion. Does that work when applying for a new job? Or does that risk losing the job offer altogether? I'm not understanding your question, Anonymous. I understand the asking about why a salary was not accepted when asking for a promotion. Does that work when applying for a new job? Does that risk losing the job offer altogether? Can you ask it in a different way? Okay. If you are asking, when you're applying for a new job and will asking for a higher pay risk losing the job offer altogether? Absolutely not. But I mean, if they tell you, as a policy, we do not negotiate. I mean, there are some companies who have implemented that policy where there's like no one can negotiate their offer. Then you should know that because you've taken stock and you've studied their pay policy. And in that case, they might be like, well, like we said, we don't negotiate, right? But that's a different matter. Okay, Janet. Yes, Janet, that is an excellent question. She asks, at a small company that doesn't have a set evaluation or raise schedule, how do you set the stage for salary raise conversation? Janet, take stock of your contributions and start planting the seed at this small company. Start planting the seed with the CEO, with the SVP or the co-founders. Tell them, I'm invested. I would like to grow with this company. How can we have a conversation about my growth at this company? Okay, that's how you set the stage. And then you tell them that you would like to be promoted to senior director, VP, SVP, or COO. For one of my clients, she wanted to become COO, right? And she set the stage by just letting her CEO, the co-founder, know, I like to get promoted. I like to have a conversation about my growth here. Okay, that's how you set the stage. And if you've done the 5 steps, taken stock, articulated your value, help them see that you are bringing bigger value to help address the goals of this organization, your ask is a no-brainer. I answered Jenny's question. Okay. Anonymous asks, I work for the federal government where they still base salary on your salary history. I recently found out through publicly available data that a colleague in the same role makes nearly $30,000 more than me, even though I have more experience. I am and was unsuccessful at negotiating my salary when I started. How do I revisit this topic without comparing myself to this other person, making it seem like I'm pitting myself against them? I've had the same situation. I was not in government. I was at a tech startup, but I was making, I think, $65,000 as operations manager. And I found out this new person who's coming in, same level as me, she's going to get paid $80,000. And I knew this. And my employer, my boss, the CFO, he knew that I knew it because we knew everyone's salary information in the finance and operations department. And so what I did was I did what I taught you. I took stock of how I was contributing. I made an exhaustive list of all the ways I was adding value to this organization. And then I took stock of possible pay ranges. I said, I want to be promoted. I'm adding value. I know I can do more. And then I took stock of pay ranges and I brought the market range data. According to the internet, an operations director makes about $100,000. And so I anchored high with my CFO. I said, this is the value I'm bringing. In other words, this is the awesome sauce I'm bringing. I want to grow. I want to be at $100,000. I anchored really high. Yeah. And then he met me at $80,000. And I was happy with that. Because I was saying, this is the awesome sauce I'm bringing. I'm going to bring more awesome sauce. I'd like to have a promotion and raise. I don't know, Anonymous, if that will work for you because you're in a federal government where they still base salary based on your salary history. It sounds like you're going to have to start asking for when and how are exceptions made. Start asking questions, asking around, ask people who are in the know, ask people who've been in your agency before, ask people who may be familiar with the promotion cycle, ask them when are exceptions made and do your research that way so that you will have more armor when you go to ask for the raise that you want. I hope that made sense. Okay. You're most welcome. Hiba says, thank you for the presentation. I answered your question. Heather's asked, I'm a current MA student, so I'm going to guess that means you're a graduate student, and have been hesitant about negotiating and accomplishments. Why? Why are you hesitant? For example, I initiated my program's diversity program. So what you're telling me is that you have a history of standing up brand new programs, and you have a track record of gaining positive feedback and positive reviews. Okay, so what I would do is I would think about your accomplishments from the perspective of a friend. Like make a list of things that you have done, your diversity program, your teaching, the reviews you've gained, and pretend for a second that this isn't your accomplishment. This is the accomplishment of a woman that you really like and respect. What might you say about this person? What might you say about what this person is capable of? Is she capable of standing up brand new programs, being entrepreneurial, coming up with diversity initiatives elsewhere or in institutions where there are bureaucratic, things to consider? And if this person is good at teaching, this person is good at communicating, this is a person who has leadership qualities, yeah? I would communicate that to your prospective employers, okay? Good question. How do you when your job description lists other duties as assigned? Carrie asks, how do you suggest negotiations when your job description lists other duties as assigned? I don't know, that's a very vague question, but here's what I would suggest. I would take the lead. I would take this as an opportunity for you to clarify what those other duties as assigned are. And then I would take the charge in clarifying it, coming up with specific examples of how you added value doing those other duties, And I would get in alignment with your current or prospective employer and say, ask them, hey, this is how I'm doing these other duties. And here are specific examples of how I believe I am adding value. Would you agree that I am adding value? Okay, they'll be like, yeah, of course. Love it, keep doing it. And you say, I'm glad you agree. Because I'd like to be paid in accordance to the value I bring, I like to have a compensation conversation. I like to have my compensation adjusted. Okay, that's how you do it. Again, what is their goal? How are you bringing the value to address their goal? And your want, when it's in alignment, when it's overlapping with their goal, with the value you bring, no brainer. Okay, Anonymous asks, how would you recommend I consider my value or gain confidence in the value I bring when I don't know how I perform relative to my peer? Great question. Okay, so this is the student mindset. This is the sort of like perfectionist fantasy / Tiara syndrome, as if like we're back in school and everyone gets graded on a bell curve, and we got to know how we competing, how we doing compared to others. You don't need to do that. So Anonymous says, my biggest fear is that I truly am not a high performer compared to my peers. Of course, when you try to compare yourself to other people, that's when the fear is triggered. So do not compare yourself to peers, compare yourself to yourself. Ask yourself, where was I a year ago? How was I performing 6 months ago? Okay. And compare your growth to your growth. That's my suggestion. And if you want help building self-confidence so that you break out of this mindset of comparing yourself to other people, you break the habit of thinking in this student mindset of I need to prove myself, which drains your confidence, of course, right? If you want to break out of that, I highly recommend consider getting coaching. Okay, you want to commit to coaching, this first step we do is you and I have a conversation, book your consult today. Anonymous asks, if you ask why a salary isn't accepted when you're applying for a job, could the offer be rescinded? Not asking for a higher pay, but asking why not? Okay, so my guess is that you're submitting an application, they're asking you, what is your salary expectation? You put it in and it's not accepted. I'm just going to guess that's what the situation is. Could your offer be rescinded? I honestly don't know. But if this question is really important to you, right, you just want to really understand, I suggest like reaching out, ask to have a conversation, right? I just like to have a conversation. I just like to better understand what your process is. Okay, so I don't know if it will be rescinded, and if it is rescinded, you want to ask yourself, is that the kind of employer I want to work with, where I can't even ask a question or have a conversation about this? And if that's really important to you, the offer being rescinded would be a clear signal that your values, your priorities are not in alignment. So maybe you don't really want to work for a company like that. I don't know. You get to decide. Okay, so you're most welcome, Megan. You're most welcome, Jostia. You're most welcome, Diana. You're most welcome, Carrie. Okay, one last question before we wrap up. And again, if you want to get started on coaching, if you want to build your self-confidence, you want to build your self-advocacy muscle, the time to get started is now, not later. I invite you to book a consultation with me. Let's find out, okay? Let's find out how to custom fit the strategy to your specific situation. Let's find out how you can achieve your desired goals. Let's find out, okay? Summer asks, this is gonna be the last question I answer, we're gonna wrap it up. After doing the prep, presenting your case of the value is brought to an organization and is still denied promotion, salary increase. When do you think is a time to walk away to seek other opportunities? What's the best way to gauge that? The best way to gauge that would be to ask yourself, do I really want to stay? Or do I really want to go? If my promotion and salary is denied yet again, and it does not go through, am I willing to stay and work for the current salary, current title? Yes, because list. No, because list. In other words, Summer, I suggest you sit down and you make lists. One list, I would stay for these reasons. Another list, I would go for other reasons, okay? And then I would also invite you to think about, what is the opportunity cost? What is the best thing that can happen if I seek out other opportunities? And what is the best thing that can happen if I decide to stay? Right? Only you can answer that question. I can't answer that question for you, but I think it is worthwhile for you to sit down and ask yourself, what is the best case scenario for both of this, the stay or go? Because our brains would always want us to think about worst case scenarios, right? But we gotta go beyond that. We can outbrain our brain. What is the best possible thing that can happen in 3 years' time? And also, who do I want to be? Right? This is a decision. This is a decision you make. And that was step number 2. Step number 2, not 3. Step number 2. What is the best decision that's going to serve who I want to become? Ask yourself, who do I want to be 3 years from now? What kind of career do I want to have? How do I want to feel in my job? How much money do I want to make? What is the experience I want to have? What is the life balance I want to have in 3 years' time? And then ask yourself, which decision, staying or going, is going to best serve that? So that is something that I help my clients do in my coaching program. So again, if you're a mid-career woman and you are committed to growing your career, you are committed to closing your wage gap, you are committed to achieving those self-advocacy wins, right? Start paying down the self-advocacy debt, start collecting the self-advocacy win, and you want an expert in your corner to guide you through each step of the process. I'm going to be there for you each step of the process, from beginning to end, from this current mindset to you having tangible results, right? I'm going to help you come up with custom strategy. I'm going to help you implement it, and then I'll help you evaluate it so you know exactly how to do it better. So you keep building that negotiation muscle. If that is you, book a consult today. calendly.com/JamieLee/consult. You may have also received the link in your inbox. And that concludes this training. Chair says, thank you for an impactful webinar. I am most grateful that you were all here. My ask is start implementing today. We need powerful, smart, competent women like you to get bolder, get better paid. When women win, we all win. The world gets better. Companies do better. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.